We were on here last week, and I asked you, I said, Ben, can Trinidad Chambliss be the next Cam Ward of college football, coming from an unknown school and becoming a major factor and becoming a player with national attention? And at least game one, his first start, granted it was against an atrocious Arkansas defense, but still, there were people saying, somebody had on Twitter had said something like, give me your thoughts on Trinidad Chambliss. And I said the thing that we talked about on the pod. He's not going to turn the ball over. He's got a good arm. It's not as big as Simmons, but he's an elite runner, and he's going to be good. And someone said, it ain't the same as playing Division II opponents. Well, he played an SEC opponent, and he absolutely torched him in Arkansas. But go ahead, Ben. Floor is yours. Your thoughts on Chambliss. And the big question, is there a quarterback controversy now in Oxford?
No, because Trinidad Chambliss is the starter. That's what it is. Austin Simmons isn't healthy, first of all. He's not.
But I guess the question is if Simmons were healthy, though.
But he's not. He's not. So my whole thing is like these things, look how quickly things can change in college football. It is not just year to year anymore. It's month to month, day to day, week to week. Austin Simmons was the toast of the SEC and SEC media. Certainly, when I talked to Peter Burns at ESPN and Josh Pate, who we all love, man, and J.D. Piquel, my guy at 0-3. I mean, so many of these national guys. Paul Feinbaum. And Austin Simmons was like, man, he was the reason why they were bullish on saying Ole Miss was going to be a contender again. Maybe fall short of the college football playoff, but certainly finish 9-3, push for 10-2, be right there at the back end, right? Austin Simmons and how impressive he was as an early graduate, and he had an up and down start, a pair of interceptions in both of the first half of the first two games, both wins. But he did some good things too. This has little to do with underperformance or anything. Then he's not healthy. But that's how quickly things can change. You go from being the toast of the town to a forgotten man because you're in season. It's week to week. Trinidad Chambliss is the starter. Now, when Austin Simmons comes back, let the best man win. It's that simple. Because who's to say Trinidad Chambliss didn't just have a great week of practice and preparation and had a one-game performance, maybe the things that limited him being a Division II transfer from Ferris State, whatever led him there that was limiting him as a player, maybe those things show up and he isn't the long-term answer. It's been one game. But in that one game, he could not have been more impressive. Everything that Ole Miss had been saying he was going to be, first of all, knew that they were going to have a package for him. Go back and watch any podcast I've done since he got here after spring practices. Ole Miss had designs to incorporate him because of his rushing ability. He was a 1,000-yard rusher last year at Ferris State. It would be coaching malpractice to leave that on the bench just because you're trying to protect feelings. And he was Ole Miss's leading rusher on Saturday. They weren't just running offense around him. They were running offense through him. He was the centerpiece of their offense because of what he brings as far as his traits, that running ability, not necessarily the big arm talent and elite traits that Austin Simmons has. And Austin Simmons showed a lot of that at times in the first 2 weeks of the season, even with the interceptions. You saw the arm talent and what it could be. But it's up and down. So for this season, in a pursuit of a college football playoff, appearance, whenever Austin is healthy, let the best man win, which is what Landon's always done with a pro mindset. But for now, it's Trinidad Chambliss because, one, it has to be, and for two, he's earned it. He stepped up in the moment when he was called upon, went 21 for 29 for 353 yards, a touchdown, was Ole Miss's leading rusher, rushed for 2 more touchdowns. He did it. He did his job. So, and right now, Austin Simmons, he re-aggravated that ankle injury when he had to come in. And he led a great drive. Like, it's not just, this is Trinidad Chambliss' job. Like, Austin Simmons came into that game on a bum ankle, which was obvious. He checked to a run play and got him into to a first and goal situation, and then a perfect pass to a wide open Harrison Wallace for 4 yards. Like, Austin Simmons isn't a forgotten man, but you can fall into these kind of things because of how college football is now being day-to-day, week-to-week, rather than, this monolithic, Austin Simmons is great. He's going to be a great football player. He's already been a great football player. But right now, he's not healthy. And until he is, Trinidad Chambliss is the starting quarterback for Ole Miss, and he checked all the boxes you would hope he would check. Even more so in a lot of ways, Sudu, because I was looking at this. I saw TJ Oxley. He's a good follow on Twitter for Ole Miss people. Trinidad Chambliss was 7 for 11 on passes 10-plus yards down the field, and one of those completions was a drop. That is notable because you're right, and we've been saying it. Trinidad Chambliss doesn't have the arm talent of Austin Simmons, but he looked pretty dead gum good.
I'll tell you this, right? Like
against Arkansas.
I've seen the Ferris State highlights, and a lot of it is him running the football. There's some good throws in there as well. But what got me with Trinidad and made me actually believe was the pass to Deuce Alexander. Unfortunately, that was the play that the Arkansas DB got hurt on, and hopefully everything's good on that end. But it looked like a Russell Wilson moonball, the way that thing floated in the air, and it gave Alexander just the perfect amount of time to adjust, wait for it. It wasn't a ball that just hung up in the air and like the DB was going to get it. Now, maybe, I don't know, if you were playing a Georgia with KJ Bolden, maybe the safety comes over the top and makes a play on that. But that ball was perfectly placed, Ben. I mean, that thing floated in the air. Deuce adjusted, but he never had to really break stride, and it landed right before the safety came over the top to disrupt that ball. And I just was like, we're talking about him not having the Simmons arm. I think that's more the zip on the ball when it comes out and how quickly it comes out or whatever.
That's all it is, though.
As far as getting the distance and going where it needs to go, he proved that it's possible. There was that one. I think this might have been it was like a third quarter play that I'm thinking of. There was one earlier in the game down the sideline as well that he had that, and I saw him throw these balls, and I went, I know it's true that because he doesn't have Simmons' ceiling. He doesn't have that just uncoachable raw arm that Simmons has, but he's perfectly I don't even want to say serviceable. He's really good, and he belongs to play. Like, he belongs in the SEC. If that guy's a little bit taller, Ben, who's to say he's not starting somewhere else right now?
Yeah, I mean, and he had other SEC options. He chose Ole Miss because he thought it was the best opportunity of the options he had. I think that says a lot.
And he came in, and I mean, he beat out Maddox, a guy that I've heard hype on for a couple years now, right?
Yeah,
and he beat him out almost immediately.
Trinidad Chambliss has been exactly what they signed him to be, which is true competition for Austin Simmons, pushing him in a realistic way. They did not have that in the spring. Pierce Clarkson was nothing from Louisville, then goes to UCLA, and now he's under arrest. A.J. Maddox had a pretty good spring, did flash some good stuff, but then he gets hurt. They only had Austin Simmons on the roster. It was just Austin Simmons after the spring.
Right.
And remember, too, that in the first portal window, Ole Miss went quarterback shopping. Bo Pribula from Missouri, who was now at Missouri, from Penn State, who we need to start having a real conversation about.
He's been looking good.
Ole Miss went hard after him, brought him in for a visit. Do you think they'd have brought Bo Pribula in to pay deference to Austin Simmons as Austin Simmons' insurance? No, the best man would have won. Austin Simmons was the best man and beat out Trinidad Chambliss. He had a leg up, of course, but one thing that Trinidad did in fall camp that Austin just didn't do well at all was protect the football. And
that's
Austin
the
had
biggest
multiple,
thing to me.
Yeah, he protected the football. And you're right, he has drawn some comps as far as his build. He's not Russell Wilson. No one's saying that.
No.
It's just look how he plays. Look how the moon ball he threw to Deuce Alexander, dropping one in a bucket to Harrison Wallace down the sideline between the safety and the corner, the trailing corner. The zip he had to put on a slant to Daquan Wright that resulted in a 60-yard gain.
There was a lot ran for his life. Yeah. And I was hoping he'd get in there, man. He was rumbling and tumbling.
He was so close. He was so close. And man, and that's the stuff that jumped out to me. Yeah. It's less about Austin Simmons. He's hurt. Then Trinidad Chambliss is a potential SEC starter in this league, but it's only one game. It's only one. It might have just been because he did dominate the lion's share of the snaps in first team last week. Who's to say Tulane's a good football team? Lane likened Tulane to an SEC quality opponent. And I don't disagree.
I mean, Brett Slaff might have his way with the Ole Miss defense if they don't figure it out, man.
Yeah, that defense was awful. The worst half was the first half against Arkansas as far as the Ole Miss defense in the Pete Golding era. Yeah. They couldn't do anything. Yeah. They did get better. They gave up 187 yards in the second half, only 7 points. But, it's still – there were way too many busts. But they made the play that they had to make. They're still figuring some things out too, no doubt about it. And Tulane is competent. So who's to say that Ole Miss can win a track team or track meet against a team that some believe is better than Arkansas?
Yeah,
we'll see. Maybe he doesn't. And then it's just like, well, when does Austin Simmons get healthy, right?
Yeah.
The point is like, so far he's doing exactly what he was signed to do. And there's real upside with him too. It's not about Austin Simmons. It's about what Trinidad Chambliss can be as the starting quarterback for Ole Miss right now, which is what he has to be. But he's also performed in that way too. And that's the thing that you latch on to. It's like, well, now what could he be? And that's what I talked about at Rebel Grove after the game on 3 Sign Up for $1. That's one of the very first things I said. I said, you know what? And somebody asked Lane about it in the post game, and he kind of saw the vision. What if Trinidad Chambliss is Ole Miss's or Lane Kiffin's Ole Miss version of Blake Sims?
Yeah,
you could see it. And yeah, I'm not talking about the number being 6. It's just like the build. I mean, you're an unremarkable or maybe lesser trait type of player that doesn't jump off the page. But man, in terms of the context of winning, which is what this is all about,
he's a winner. Yeah. That's the big thing, right? That's what we talked about last week. Just to wrap up the Trinidad talk here is you don't turn the ball over. You haven't shown a pendency to do that, whether that was in training camp, whether that was your prior stop, and so far your time at Ole Miss. That's all it takes, especially if you do have a defense with the deficiencies that we've seen so far.
Yes.
You need an offense that will not turn the ball over. That if you're going to be in a
if
shootout,
they're scoring every time they get the ball,
exactly,
which is what they did. Arkansas, Taylor Green kicked their butt.
As we said
he was going to do. They just had no, even though it was the same thing over and over, he kept on the read option. They did not take the quarterback. It's like they were terrified to hit him, just like the Cowboys were terrified to hit Jackson Dart when he came in. They all are just flowed to him and didn't flow to the running back. Excuse me. They were just so worried about Jackson Dart. It's the same kind of thing, overcommitting and never making the adjustment. And over and over and over and over again, Taylor Green in Arkansas and Bobby Petrino just put a butt whooping on Pete Golding. It was the worst half. They scored on all 6 of their possessions. I think it was 6 or maybe 5, and 4 were touchdowns. Yeah. All resulted in points. The other one was just a field goal.
This year,
if you're going to be at a track meet like that, then protect it. Like ball security, the ball, not turning it over is the most paramount responsibility for 100%. Everybody, because possessions are precious. You got to outlast them, and you certainly can't give them more opportunities than you're given, because if you ain't stopping them, you know what I mean? Like that's it. So yes, that is a huge, for the early season and what we see Ole Miss to be after 3 weeks, that is a huge mark in favor of Trinidad Chambliss. There isn't a quarterback controversy. There won't be when Austin Simmons is healthy. They'll just let the best man win.
Yeah.
It's just like with Luke Altmaier and Jackson Dart. Luke Altmaier is now a starter at Illinois. Been a really good starter.
Jackson Dart is 9th ranked Illinois. Good.
Yes, and they deserve it. Jackson Dart was a first-round pick. But before they were those people, they had to compete against each other. Trinidad Chambliss is a lesser physical trait guy than Austin Simmons, as Luke Altmaier was to Jackson Dart. I think Austin Simmons is the guy for Ole Miss long-term. But they're trying to get to the playoffs this year. Right. Last year was a disappointment. And if Trinidad Chambliss does for this team what he needs to do to get them to that place, you worry about those problems later on down the line. You know what I mean?
No doubt.
Right now, he's the starter for Ole Miss, and if he could do what he did against Arkansas, Ole Miss will beat Tulane.
Give Kiffin credit, man. Everybody, talks about how he loves to stack up quarterbacks, and it is annoying sometimes because you think, well, maybe you could get an offensive lineman for that extra QB you got. But then in moments like this, where you have that depth and you have a guy that's able to come in and take over, you got to give a shout-out to Kiffin.
Great point. The offensive line, not that they don't love Austin Simmons.
Right.
But I was told leading up to the game in reporting that he was going to start, and then everybody kind of rolling with it. Thank goodness, because I was like, if I go out on this island alone, and then Austin warms up, you know what I mean? But I was like, screw it, it doesn't matter. None of this is all that serious. But like the offensive line loved Trinidad because of that just next level. He's got Austin as far as a rusher because he's really a running back at quarterback. He can do those things. He has real running back traits back there. He reminds you a lot in that way of Jalen Hurts or Russell Wilson, because Russell, he's the moonball guy. He doesn't have the hugest arm. What separated, made him elite, what made him Russell Wilson a Super Bowl winner, is that his running ability was next level. And Trinidad can do that. And for an offensive line that's never struggled with run blocking per se, that was the perfect quarterback then, right? To keep the ball. They're firing off. The pass protection got better because it's less attempts, even though it's still 29. I didn't understand what they were doing at the end of game with the first 2 passes to kill. That was bizarre, but I also kind of understood what they were going for. You get 1 first down, you can really start to milk it. You got to get them to use their timeouts. But it was just the game plan and what it was and what Trinidad needed to be worked. Defensively, whole nother story. But for the short term, you hope that you found the formula, that the formula is something that's sustainable over a year. That remains to be seen, though, Sudu. Mm-hmm. And that's what people need to understand. It's got to be sustainable, because if it's not, there's a reason why Austin Simmons was the guy. But what you've got is two quarterbacks that are legitimate SEC quarterbacks potentially. And coming out of spring, you only had one. You recruited Bo Perbula, and he wasn't going to come in here and just sit behind Austin for his opportunity. He was going for his job. It's year to year, month to month, week to week, day to day. And as of today, it's Trinidad Chambliss' job and get Austin right. You just want everybody to be able to put forth or be at their very best when you have to make these decisions. Right now, it's not a decision.
No
Austin
doubt.
needs to get healthy.